Okay. Oh, Sadaशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे
वन्दे
गुरुपरम्पराम्।
गुरुपरम्पराम्।
ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै।
वहै
शांति
शान्ति
शांति
शान्तिः।
शांति
शान्ति।
Om Tat Sat.
That's it. Om Namah Shivaya.
Shivaya.
So we are on verse number 15 of the 13th chapter. So let us chant that. Please unmute yourself. Shri Bhagavanuvacha
श्रीभगवानुवाच
Bahirantascha Bhutanam
बहिरन्तश्च भूतानाम्
Acharam Charameva Cha
अचरं चरमेव च
Sukshmatva Tadvijneyam
सूक्ष्मत्वात् तदज्ञेयम्
Purastham Chantike Cha Tat.
दूरस्थं चान्तिके च तत्
So we saw that Bhira Antaha Bhutana, that Brahman is both inside and outside the body, and Acharam Charameva Cha, he is both moving and non-moving. Okay. And Sukshma Tattva, because it's very Sukshmaha, very subtle, Tad Vijneyam is difficult to understand. Now, Shankara says here that you take the words Bahischa Antacha, Bahihi Cha Antaha Bhutana. So this Brahman is both outside the body and inside the body. That you should understand. But there can be a doubt. If the Brahman is outside the body and inside the body, what about the body? Somebody can say that body is not Brahman. And therefore he says, that is why Krishna says, Acharam charam evacha, moving as well as non-moving. So Brahman is outside the body, inside the body. Brahman is present in all bodies, moving bodies and non-moving bodies. And therefore, nothing is left out. Brahman is all. And Shankara says, from this, what should you understand? He says, take the case of Rajju Sarpaha, right? The snake is not the rope. That you should not forget. At the same time, you should not forget the snake is not different from the rope also. What is the idea when he says that? Snake is not the rope, but snake is also not different from the rope. What is the idea when he says that?
There are no two things.
If there is no rope, there would be no adhyasa.
Very good. If there is no rope, there will be no adhyasa. And therefore, you have to understand that the rope is the substratum. Therefore, snake is spawned from the rope. Snake is mithya only. It doesn't have an existence apart from the rope because the very existence of the snake is borrowed from the rope. Right? So this he says. Then he raises another question. If this Brahman is there in all the bodies, and the Brahman is there in all the objects of transactions, like he says, Yadi acharam charameva vyavahara vishayam cha syat sarvam gneyam. So this gneyam, Brahman, gneyam means that which is to be known. What is that which is to be known? Brahman. Therefore, if this gneyam, Brahman is there in all the bodies, moving and non-moving, and also all the objects of all transactions, then everybody should know that they are Brahman, is it not? So how is it, he says, that in spite of Brahman being everywhere and being experienced all the time, How is it that everybody doesn't know that they are Brahman? How is it that everybody is not Jivan Mukta? And Shankara himself gives the answer in his commentary. He says, everybody is experiencing Anatma, right? Anatma has two aspects. What are they?
Nama and Rupa,
And
Karma.
And Anatma also has both Atma and Anatma.
Atma also, right? So Jagat, when you look at the Jagat, you have to remember that verse from Rig Drishya Viveka. What is that verse? Anybody remembers?
Asti bhati priyam rupam. Are we talking
Asti
about that?
bhati priyam
Yeah.
rupam.
Priyam rupam namacha iti panchakam.
These are the five aspects of Anatma, of Jagat. These five can be divided into two. What is? One is Asti bhati and priyam. That is the Brahman part. And Namarupa is the Anatma part. So Jagat has two aspects, Anatma and Atma. And whenever you are in this Jagat, when you say I'm experiencing the world, remember it is not just the Namarupa that we are experiencing. We are also experiencing Brahman. Out of these two, which is the Vastu and which is the form? Brahman is the Vastu and Jagat is the form, right? Unfortunately, we are so built that because our sense organs, our indriyas perceive only the form, we take the form as the vastu and Brahman, which is existence or consciousness, as the guna, as the attribute. So we say things like, this body is conscious. When you use the word, this body is conscious, or this mind is conscious, or this body exists, what are you doing? The noun is what? The body. And consciousness or existence is the guna, the attribute. You have turned it upside down. Is it not? Whereas, what should you be saying? That this is Brahman and that Brahman has the form of the body. The attribute is the body. Nama Rupa is the attribute. Satchitananda is the substance. We have turned this upside down. When I say clay pot, this is a clay pot. What am I saying? This is a pot which is made of clay, right? That sentence has the pot as the noun and the clay as the guna, the adjective. So, it's a grammatical problem. When you convert a noun or when you use a noun, what is actually a noun, as an adjective, remember the substance, the substantiality belongs to the noun. What are you doing? You are transferring it to the adjective. So when you say this pot is clay, the substantiality of the actual noun, which is clay, the actual substance is clay. But when you say this pot is clay, what have you done? The substance you have transferred to the pot by using the term pot as noun. Remember, it is a noun which has a substance. And the guna, the pot, has been transferred as adjective. So I think of pot as satyam, as substance. And I think of clay as the attribute, the guna. When I do this, what am I doing? I am creating samsara. This is the beginning of samsara. When I say the world is the substance and existence is the attribute or the guna, I am creating samsara. Because what belongs to Jagat, the world, I am transferring to Brahman, the existence principle. Right? It's not easy to understand. It takes Shastram to understand. Because when you say clay is the substance, I can understand, right? When somebody explains that clay is the substance and pot is the adjective, I can understand because clay is perceivable. But when I say that existence is the substance and the world is Namarupa, it's more difficult to understand because you cannot perceive existence. So he says, Sukshmatvat, being very subtle. Who is subtle? Brahman. Sukshmatvat, being very subtle, means Indriya Agocharam, not graspable by the Indriyas. Tat Avvigneyam. Sukshmatvat, Tat Avvigneyam. Because Brahman is very subtle, that Brahman is difficult to know. It's actually Avvigneyam means unknowable. Though Krishna says that, Shankara wants to say that don't take the absolute meaning. Because if you say Brahman is unknowable, then there is no point in studying Vedanta. So Shankara adds Tad Avigneyam Avidusham. For the person who is not discriminating, that Brahman is not knowable. But for the Vidusham, the person who is discriminating, who is studying the Vedantic scriptures, for him, Brahman is knowable as I. Very, very brilliant commentary which conveys the absolute essence of Vedanta. Now, how does Avidusham become Avidusham? How does the non-discriminating person become the discriminating person? It is only through Veda Pramana. A proper understanding of Veda is the difference between a non-discriminating Avidusham and a discriminating Vidusham. Okay, then he says the last quarter, Tad Durastham Cha Antike. That Brahman Durastham is far away. Cha Antike is also near. One does not need to travel to reach it. And Shankara says, for a wise person, for the Vidusham, Brahman is nearest. Why?
It is
Because
him.
he is Brahman.
He is
Because I am
Because
Brahman.
I am Brahman, there is nothing closer to me than I myself. Therefore, for a wise person who knows Aham Brahmasmi, Brahman is nearest. For Ajnani, Brahman is far away because he is looking for a Brahman which is different from him. And therefore, Shankara says, even in Sahasra Koti Varshaha, Sahasra Koti Varshaha is 1000 crore years. If he is looking outside for Brahman, he will not attain Brahman even in 1000 crore years. We often use the example of the girl who's, while sleeping, her earring sort of fell into the pillow cover, into the cover. Now she searched all over the bed, under the bed, in the room, but she didn't find the cover, the earring. Why? Because the earring was in the pillow cover. That is what is meant by Durastham Chantike. Had she known, it was right under her head. But because she didn't know, it was far away, she couldn't find it. So here, Sukshmatvat has to be taken as Nirgunaha, without attributes, therefore not knowable. Very beautiful verse, sloka. Okay, now we look at sloka number 16. Let us chant. Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu
Avibhaktam
अविभक्तं च
Avibhaktam cha
भूतेषु
bhuteshu
vibhaktameva cha sthitam
विभक्तमिव च
vibhaktameva
स्थितं
cha sthitam
भूतभर्तृ च तज्ञेयम्
भूतभर्तृ च
भूतभर्तृ च
तज्ज्ञेयम्
तज्ज्ञेयम्
ग्रसिष्णु प्रभविष्णु च
ग्रसिष्णु
ग्रसिष्णु
प्रभविष्णु च
प्रभविष्णु च
Okay. So look at the words. Avibhaktam. Vibhaktam means that which can be divided. Avibhaktam means that which cannot be divided. That Brahman is indivisible. At the same time, Vibhaktam eva sthitam. It appears as if divided. Vibhaktam sthitam. It looks as if it is divided. So that undivisible Brahman appears as if divided, where bhuteshu, in all beings, tad jneyam. So jneyam means that to be known. That Brahman which is to be known, Prabhavishnu is the creator, Grasishnu is the destroyer, the swallower. Grasishnam is swallowing. Prabhavishnu Grasishnu cha is the creator and the swallower, or creator and the destroyer, Bhut Bhartracha, as well as the sustainer. Bhartra means sustainer. Bhuta Bhartra, sustainer of all beings. So, what is the gist of this loka? That consciousness principle, Brahman, cannot be divided, just like space cannot be divided. But even though Brahman cannot be divided, there is a seeming division, just like in space. How will you talk about seeming divisions of space? We know that space cannot be divided. How does space appear to be seemingly divided?
like different houses or
different houses,
pots.
different
Different houses,
rooms.
different rooms,
walls.
walls. It appears to be seemingly divided. And therefore he says, Avibhaktam eva vibhaktam. That indivisible Brahman, even though seemingly divided, cannot really be divided. Why so? He doesn't say. But Shankara says, Deheshu eva vibhavya manatvat. Because that Brahman, and here you have to understand Brahman as consciousness. That consciousness principle, Deheshu eva vibhavya manaha, can be recognizable only in a body. Because you experience consciousness only where the body or body medium is available. I recognize myself as conscious because the mind and the body are there. I recognize you as conscious not because I can recognize your mind, but I see you moving. The physical body, I see you moving. I see you talking. I see you understanding me. That experience of seeing you moving and talking and understanding and talking, that is the recognition of consciousness in another body. So consciousness can be recognized in all living beings. But what is the reality? Every living being really exists in consciousness alone. Everybody is in Atma. But even though Atma is all pervading, Sarvagataha, wherever this body, the living being is not available, I am unable to recognize consciousness. Just like in deep space, if you go into deep space, it's actually very dark, even though the various suns will be shining. And where will you see light? Only where the reflection is there from the planets. Light is really present everywhere. The light of the sun is really present everywhere. But you will see it only when you're looking at the sun, or if you are turned away from the sun, the space will appear dark to you, excepting where there is a planet which is or a star which is reflecting that light. All these planets are simply reflecting media. Similarly, this consciousness, even though all pervading, cannot be recognized wherever there is no reflecting medium. So he says that Jneyam, that Brahman, has three descriptions. Prabhavishnu, Grasishnu, Bhuta, Bhartru. So Prabhavishnu is, and here Shankara adds a word. So he says Prabhavana Chilam. Prabhavanam means creating. Sheelam is a very, very important idea. So, Sheelam, like, I don't know if most South Indian languages, the word Sheela means what?
Character.
Anybody? Character or habit, actually. Sheelam. He has got this habit. So, Prabhavana Sheelam means the one who has the habit of doing Prabhavanam regularly. Or Vishnu, the one who creates regularly. So Shilam is a very important idea, conveying the idea of regularity or cyclicity, right? So this Brahman has a habit of creating the world regularly. It is not a one-time event. It is Srishti Karanam. The cycle of creation is being referred to by the use of the word Shilam. Shankara doesn't explain, but you guys see the depth of that idea. And Grasishnu. Grasishnu is, again, Shankara says, Rasana Sheelam. Rasana means swallowing. And he explains swallowing as Prayala Kale Grasishnu. He says that it is the destruction of the Jagat, the swallowing of the Jagat during Pralaya. That is called Grasanam. And Grasana Sheelam. He swallows that Jagat. So between this Prabhavana Sheelam and Grasana Sheelam, what is he saying? This Brahman creates regularly and destroys regularly. The cycle, the cyclicity of creation is being indicated over here. And Bhuta Bhartru. So Bhartru means Vibharti, the one who sustains, right? So he is the one who sustains all beings. And Shankara adds, by way of clarification, Sthiti Kale. During, after creation, and before destruction, this that Brahman plays the role of Sthitikarta. So he is Srishtikarta, Sthitikarta, as well as Layakarta, creator, sustainer, and destroyer. Then Shankara now thinks that, presenting this idea of Ishvara as creating something might make us think that Ishvara is creator and we are created, and therefore there is Dvaitam. So he wants to remove that idea. So he says, just as the rope is the sustainer of the snake, Brahman is the sustainer of the Jagat. Yatva rajvadi sarpade mithya kalpitasya. Just as the rope is the substratum for the snake, Brahman is the substratum for the Jagat. To understand, we have to add, just as the rope is the Satyam which sustains the Mithya snake, Brahman is the Satyam which sustains the Mithya Jagat. The use of Rajvadi Sarpadi indicates that Brahman is Vivarta Upadana Karanam. What is Vivarta Upadana Karanam? Very
That does
important,
not.
right?
Unchanging,
That does not.
seemingly changing.
Unchanging.
Not permanent change happens. It's
Seemingly
not
changes.
like curd and milk, but it's like only.
There is a difference between milk turning into curds. That is Parinami Upadana Karanam.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so Vivarth
In
does
this
not
case,
change.
it's not.
Vivarta means the Karanam doesn't change, it only appears to change. So seemingly changing. Because the snake is the seeming snake appearing on the rope. The rope doesn't change, but it appears as a snake. So that Vivarta Upadana Karanam is a very important idea. right? Remember, Vivarta Karanam can indicate the, you can, that there is a creator and there is material, right? Parinami Upadana Karanam can also indicate the material changing. But here, Vivarta Upadana Karanam is indicating Upadana means material. But that material, without changing, seemingly looks like the world, which is the very definition of mithya. So, Rajvadi Sarpade, just like the snake on the rope, whenever that word is used, remember that we are talking about Upadana Karanam, but seeming Upadana Karanam. That is why Brahman is called Vivarta Upadana Karanam. Very, very, very profound idea. Okay. We look at sloka number 17. Jyotisham api tajyotihi
Jyotisha
Jyotishamapita
ज्योतिषामपि तज्ज्योतिः
tamasah paramuchyate
Tamasa
Tamasah
तमसः परमुच्यते
Paramuchyate
jnanam jneyam jnanagamyam
Jnanam
ज्ञानं
Jneyam
Jnanam
ज्ञेयं
Anagamyam
Jnanagam
ज्ञानगम्यं
sarvasya vishishtitam
Hridi
Hridi
Sarvasya
Sarvasya
सर्वस्य
Vishishtitam
विशिष्टं
vishishtitam
विष्टितं
vishishtitam
विशिष्टं
vishishtitam.
Vishishtitam.
So tad means that Brahman. What is that Brahman? Jyotisham api jyotihi uchyate. That Brahman uchyate is said to be Jyotisham api jyotihi, to be the light of all other lights. And that Brahman, tamasaha param, is beyond ajnanam, and jnanam, knowledge, jneyam is the object of the knowledge, jnana gamyam. Jnana gamyam is destination or goal of the knowledge. And that Brahman is Vishishtitam, present, Sarvasya Hridayi, in the hearts of all. So, in simple English, that Brahman is said to be light of all lights, beyond ignorance. That Brahman is knowledge, as well as the object of knowledge, as well as the destination of knowledge. And that Brahman is present in the hearts of all. So, again, Shankara, in a very profound idea, he introduces this verse with a question. He says, if Brahman is present everywhere and yet not recognizable, can it be said that Brahman is darkness? It's a very subtle idea. If Brahman is present everywhere and not recognizable, can we say that Brahman is tamaha, darkness? What is the idea being conveyed? When in the night, supposing you are in a room and there are no lights anywhere, outside also there are no lights, there is no moon also, you are experiencing darkness. Correct? Your eyes are open, you are experiencing darkness. But can you say that I am seeing darkness? Very subtle idea being conveyed. You can experience, but you cannot see darkness. What are you actually experiencing?
Not having light.
Sense of light.
You are experiencing the absence of light. And there's no such thing as experiencing darkness or seeing darkness. You are only experiencing the absence of light, and you give it a term that I'm experiencing darkness. It is the absence of light which makes my eyes non functional. And that is why darkness is called andhakaraha. Very beautiful word. What does the karaha do? Karaha means what? What
Shape.
is some?
Something that makes something.
Does.
That's kara.
Correct. Something which is a karana, which makes something. Karaha. Andhakaraha, that which makes you blind. That is darkness. The absence of light renders your eye not functional. That is blindness. Something which makes you blind. That is called darkness. So that is a question which Shankara is asking. A very, very beautiful question. And Shankara says, no, it is not darkness. You cannot say Brahman is darkness. And that is why Krishna gave this sloka so that we don't have that misconception. So remember that in Vedanta or anywhere actually, what is the meaning of light? When you say light, light is a entity in whose presence things are known or recognized. Right? That is why sun is called light, moon is called light, because even when moonlight is there, I can see some things at least. And nakshatra also, starlight also, I can see something. So the definition in Vedanta is anything in whose presence objects are known or objects are seen or objects are recognized. That is called Jyotihi, light. Using this definition, every sense organ, Indriya, can also be called light. Why?
Those only we see the
They
world.
also reveal something
Because
of
things are known
their area.
only in the presence of your sense organ. If you want to know form or color, Indriya Chakshu has to be the Chakshu Indriya has to be there. Otherwise, you don't know. Therefore, in the presence of the Indriyas, things are known in their own fields, of course. In their absence, they are not known. Therefore, any one of these pramanam is actually a light. These five pramanams, your sense organs, they are all called lights. In fact, there is a section called Brahmanam, Swam Jyoti Brahmanam, in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. That section says that even words can be called light. Why? You're using the same logic. Words reveal objects. Now, here Krishna is saying, you take your sense organs, you take any of the five pramadams, you take any other light, sun, moon, stars, words, all these function basically based on one superior, one ultimate light. And what is that light? Atma, the consciousness alone. Because to reveal light itself, the source of light, if you want to see, you have to be conscious. You can be looking at the sun, but if you are not conscious, you will not see the sun. Therefore, unless consciousness is there, even the worldly source of lights will not reveal anything. Therefore, the ultimate source of light is consciousness. That is why he says, Jyotisham api Jyotihi, the light of all lights. Okay. What is the difference from the previous sloka in the definition here? Brahman is being defined as something over here. Jyotisham Jyotihi. Look at the previous sloka. What was the definition there?
The creator, swallower, and sustainer is
Okay. And what is the
described.
definition here?
It's the light of all lights, or the can we say revealer of everything,
Well, I would like
or
you to think about it.
Adhishtanam?
So I'm waiting.
Mm,
What is
mm.
the actual difference in the way Brahman is presented in sloka number 16 and sloka number 17? Think about it. I'll wait for the
In
answer.
shloka number 16, it
Vivarta
is the
upadana
Saguna,
karanam.
Saguna Rupa that is described, and in this shloka it is Nirguna Swarup.
Mm.
Okay, so in the previous, have you forgotten our old discussion on the two types of Lakshanam, Tatastha Lakshanam
Mm.
and
And
Swarupa Lakshana.
Swarupa Lakshanam.
Sloka number 16 is which one?
Swarup.
Sloka number 16 is not Swarupa. Jagat is not there all
Tathastha
the time.
Lakshanam.
Tatastha means what? That
Tathastha.
which Tata means the bank of a river.
Bank. It comes
Right.
and goes.
The water flows, and with regard to the water, the Tata is not always there. Same Tata is not there. Therefore, Tatastha Lakshanam is that Lakshanam which comes and goes. Incidental indicator is the Tatastha Lakshanam. So Jagat comes and goes, creation comes and goes. Therefore, creation is, when you say Brahman is creator, it is Tatastha Lakshanam. Verse number 16 is Tatastha Lakshanam. Here you're talking about the very Swarupam, Chaitanya Swarupam, Jyotisham Jyotihi, Swarupa Lakshanam. Should not forget that, okay? Then Tamasah Paramuchyate. Not only is it Jyotisham Jyotihi, not only is Brahman the light of all lights, it is beyond darkness also. What does he mean when he says that? Any light source you have, torch, bulb, sunlight, moonlight, they can illuminate everything. But one thing they cannot illuminate. What is that?
Atman.
Tamasaha. No light can show you darkness. Can it?
No, because
Can.
as soon as the light comes, the darkness goes.
As soon as the light comes, darkness goes.
The
Therefore, no
ignorance.
light can illumine darkness.
The ignorance, avidya. This darkness is avidya.
No, we are talking about the darkness, pure darkness, in the absence of light. That don't go beyond that example. So, consciousness is beyond that. Why? Because you know it is dark because of what? Not because of the light, because of the absence of the light. The absence of the light is felt how? Because of consciousness alone. Therefore, figuratively, consciousness is a very unique light because of which your darkness also you experience. You are experiencing the absence of light, which is darkness. In other words, consciousness not only reveals to you the sun, the moon, which are sources of light, consciousness also reveals to you darkness, which is when other sources of light are not there. Therefore, consciousness illumines other lights, consciousness illumines darkness also. I am the consciousness principle, which makes me conscious of darkness. And therefore, it is the greatest of all lights. Remember, consciousness alone can coexist with darkness. Consciousness alone can coexist with ajnanam also. You cannot say jnanam coexists with ajnanam. The moment jnanam comes, ajnanam is no longer there. But do you know that, for example, I know that I am Chinese ajnan. How do I know? Because of consciousness alone. And therefore, consciousness illumines both jnanam as well as ajnanam. That is the idea being conveyed here. Consciousness illumines darkness as well as light. Consciousness illumines ajnanam as well as jnanam. Therefore, consciousness is a unique light which can coexist with darkness. Okay. One thing here is Jyotisham Jyotihi, the word is Atma Jyoti, is pure consciousness. Is it the same as Atma Jnanam?
No.
Just a yes or no answer won't do. You have to give the rationale.
Atma Jyotihi is the original consciousness, and it is because of this original consciousness that Jnanam is possible. Is possible.
What is the point being made? That Atma Jnanam is a vritti. It is a thought.
Jada.
What is opposed to Ajnanam? Atma Jnanam alone. So Atma Jnanam and Atma Ajnanam cannot coexist. Because the moment Atma Jnanam comes, Atma Ajnanam goes. But the Atma Jyoti can coexist even with Atma Ajnanam.
Yes.
Therefore, Atma Jyoti can coexist with Tamas, darkness, and can coexist with Atma Ajnanam also, or for that matter, any Ajnanam. Right? The knowledge of Chinese cannot coexist with Chinese Ajnanam. Atma can coexist with the fact that I don't know Chinese. Okay. Then the next word is Param. Param Muchyate. Param normally means beyond, superior or beyond. But here Shankara says, take it as asprishtaha, asangaha, not touched by any of these. And then jnanam, jneyam, jnanagamyam. Brahman alone is in the form of knowledge, that which has been known, and that which is the destination of knowledge. So jnanam means that Brahman alone is the jnanam. And again, when you say jnanam, jnanam has several meanings. Okay. You can take it as Swarupa Jnanam, consciousness principle itself. You can take it as Vritti Jnanam, the idea of the thought conveying something. Right? Now there is a commentary on the Gita by Madhusudana Saraswati. It's called Gudhartha Deepika. The author there takes the meaning of Jnanam as Swarupa Jnanam. He says this Jnanam is the very Brahman consciousness principle which is revealed in the Vritti Jnana. But Shankara takes the meaning of Jnana differently in this chapter. What is the meaning that Shankara takes? I hope you've not forgotten.
It's the Sadgunas, the virtues.
The Satgunas. Shankara takes Jnanam here as Satgunas. Right? And this is a very important idea because if you connect it Jnanam Sarvasya Hridi Vishtitham, what does it mean? If you take Jnanam as Sadgunas, and when you say Jnanam Sarvasya Hridi Vishtitam, you are saying Sadgunas Sarvasya Hridi Vishtitam. What are you saying?
Everyone
The Kosis in everyone.
Everybody?
Everyone has these Sadgunas.
Everybody has these gunas already present in them. The Sadgunas, which we talked about in the first 4, 5 verses, he is saying that that is there in the presence of everybody's mind. Then the question is, why do you need to do sadhana or chitta suddhi? It was already present. Why do you need to?
Chitta Shuddhi.
No, why do you need chitta suddhi? Because he is saying that jnanam sarvasya hridi vishtatam. It's already present in your mind. All the sadgunas are already present in your mind. You already have chitta shuddhi. Then why do you do sadhana of chitta shuddhi?
Because the Rajas
Maya is
aspect and
covering.
the
The
Tamas
meaning of
aspect is
Jnanam here is
predominant.
not Sadgunas. He's referring to the original consciousness.
No,
Brahman.
he's referring to, I just said he is referring to sadgunas because
Oh,
in the beginning he says the sadgunas.
To make them surface because of Ajnanam, they are.
Very good. So when you polish a mirror, what are you doing? You are not
new.
bringing forth a new shiny surface. The mirror already has shiny surface that is obstructed by some dirt. And when you polish a mirror or polish dirty steel vessel, you are not attempting to bring about a new shining surface. You are only removing the impurity to expose the original shining surface which is already there. This is what Shankara is saying. Shankara is saying this Chitta Shuddhi is already there in you. The problem is that they are obstructed by Raga Dvesha, born out of Ajnana and Avidya. And therefore, forget the idea that you have to work hard to acquire sadgunas. Sadgunas are already there. You don't need to acquire anything. What do you have to do?
You have to remove the malam of the.
Remove the obstruction, the malam you remove. That is all that you need to be doing. So that's a very, very important idea which all of us, when why he says this, because when you think that I don't have enough chitta shuddhi, then your image of yourself goes down a bit, compared to this particular gentleman or this particular fellow. I am not so pure a person. So that image goes down. So he's saying, don't think of that in that manner. You already have all the chitta shuddhi that you need, but some obstruction, some dirt has obscured it. Remove that dirt, remove the raga dvesha, and the chitta shuddhi will shine forth. Very, very beautiful little idea. Then, Jnayam Jnanagamyam. So Shankara says that same Brahman, which is, and is a very important idea, right? He says that same Brahman, which is being inquired into after gaining the knowledge of Brahman. What happens? He's explaining Jnayam Jnanagamyam. Jnayam is what? That Brahman which you are inquiring in. Jnanagamyam is what? That which is the destination of Jnana. So, Jnayam, that same Brahman which I am inquiring into, after gaining the knowledge, Jnatam Satul, after gaining the knowledge that I am that Brahman, what happens? That same Brahman, Jnana Phalam iti, becomes the Jnana Phalam. That is why Brahman is called Jnanagamyam. That Brahman which is acquired through Jnanam. It's a very important idea. You are becoming what you are inquiring into. Right? Remember, it's an important idea. It applies only to what you already are. Right? If you inquire into a cockroach, you don't turn into a cockroach. But if you inquire into Brahman, you turn into Brahman because that is what you already are. That is what the idea of the Kunti and the dialogue is there, between Karan and Kunti. This is the same idea. When Karan is told that he is Kunti Putraha, what happens? He becomes Kunti Putra. And therefore he says, Sarvasya Hridi Vishtitam. All these three are in the minds of everybody. Jnanam is the Sadguna. Jnayam is Brahman. Jnanagamyam is that Brahman which becomes the destination. When you understand that I am that Brahman which I am inquiring into, therefore the idea conveyed is what? Sadgunas, Brahman, and Moksha. Where are they located? In you. They are not outside you. Any questions?
Acharya, just a small query. Like from elders, we hear like Jyoti Jyot Samaya. So it is like it's a bigger light, and when the person goes, the small light merges. It's already. I mean, it's not merging. It's.
That's one of those, you see in the movies and you see that when somebody dies, one light moves up from the body and goes away. That's all those idealized visualizations. You have to understand that I am not different from Brahman. That's all that should be known. I am Brahman. That is all that should be known. In fact, it's very simple. The whole thousands and thousands of mantras and verses. They talk only about this thing. There's so many of them necessary because it's difficult to assimilate. Okay, so let's look at verse number 18. We will chat. Iti kshetram tatha jnanam
इति
इति
क्षेत्रं
क्षेत्रं तथा ज्ञानम्
ज्ञेयं चोक्तं समासतः
ज्ञेयं
ज्ञेयं समासतः
समासतः
भक्त एतद्विज्ञाय
मद्भक्त एतद्विज्ञाय
तद्विज्ञाय
मद्भावायोपपद्यते
भावायोपपद्यते
मद्भावायोपपद्यते
इति उक्तम्. In this manner, iti uktam, kshetram tatha jnanam cha jneyam. Kshetram, jnanam and jneyam have been spoken of by me. Krishna is saying, I have spoken of kshetram, jnanam and jneyam. Samasataha, briefly but, and etad vijnaya, knowing these three, mad bhaktaha, my devotee, mad bhavaya papadyate, becomes fit to attain my own nature or will attain my own nature. So this is, there is something called a nyaya called Simha Avalokana Nyaya. You know what it means?
Yes, you
Simha.
had told earlier that like a
Yeah.
lion which just looks back while moving ahead, what all has
Yeah,
is
so that there is no other challenger before me. Have I destroyed all the challenges? That is he looks back. So it's called Simha Avalokana Nyaya, which is basically, in other words, there is summarization happening. Okay. So he is summarizing what he has said just to make sure that Arjuna is following the teaching. So he says, four topics have been covered. Kshetram, Jnanam, Jneyam, which is specifically stated, but Kshetrajna is covered. How do we say that? Because Kshetrajna is the same as Jneyam. Okay, the Jivatma is the same as Paramatma. So these four topics have been covered. What is left out? Of what? You might be asking what is left out of what? What are
Arjuna
variable?
verse 6.
Arjuna's questions. So out of all these, four have been covered. What is left out is only two, which is Purushaha and Prakriti. What is Purushaha and Prakriti? Kshetram and Kshetrajna only. And therefore, to put it in our own language, what all have been discussed? Anatma, Paramatma, Jivatma. Or you might say where. Okay. I hope you won't say, but if you have the doubt, Kshetram is discussed where? Fifth and sixth verse. Jneyam is discussed where? 12th verse to 17th verse. Sadgunas are discussed where? 7th verse to 11th verse. And therefore Krishna says, Cha uktam samasataha. I have taught you briefly. Mad bhaktaha etad vijnaya. My bhakta who has studied this. So he's indicating that bhakti is an important qualification for gaining Atmajnana. Right? And therefore Vedantic student has necessarily to be a bhakta. Similarly, the Vedantic teacher has necessarily to be a religious person, a bhakta. And in fact, if you think about it, that is why in Sanatana Dharma, philosophy and religion, so philosophy and theology, they call it. Theology means religion. So philosophy and theology are deeply interlinked. While in most other systems of philosophy, you will find that philosophy and theology are separate. And therefore, it is possible to segregate philosophy from religion. And therefore, you can have an atheistic philosophy. But Vedanta insists if you want to understand philosophy, you have to start with theology, with religion, with devotion. And that is why even though whatever we are discussing in this Jnana Kanda, whatever we are discussing is beyond Karma Kanda, right? And religion is basically Karma Kanda. But that is why in every Upanishad, you start with what? Prayer sloka. Without prayer, without devotion, jnanam can never take place. There is no such thing as secular Vedanta. If you are attempting to be a secular Vedantic, you are not a devotee, you are not a bhakta. Remember that you may study all the Upanishads. You may be an expert in the Upanishads. You may be able to chant it forward and backward. But the jnanam that you acquire, it remains academic. You will have information. There will never be any transformation. And in fact, there is a very beautiful mantra in the Upanishad called Shvetashvatara Upanishad. So he says, Yasya Deva Para Bhakti Yatha Deve Tatha Gurau Tasyetai Katitha Yartaha Prakashante Mahatmata. He says, Yasya Deva Para Bhakti, just as you have a lot of devotion in Deva, Yatha Deve Tatha Gurau. Have that same bhakti towards your guru. And tasyaite kathitha yartaha prakashante mahatmanaha. So this mahatmanaha here refers to the great student. The great student who has the same bhakti in his guru as he has bhakti in Ishvara, which means he has bhakti in the Shruti also. For that student only, for that great student, Mahatmanaha, Kathita Yartaha Prakashante. The meaning of the Upanishad will be revealed. So if you don't have devotion to Ishvara and respect for your teacher, as I said, you will have information, but without transformation. And that is why in the 18th chapter, Krishna gives a warning to every Gita teacher. Na bhaktya kadachanaha idam na vachyam. Never give the teaching to one who is not a bhakt. Okay, so let's come back to the verse. Etad vijnaya, such a devotee will necessarily gain the knowledge. And supposing you don't gain, what will happen? You will have the inspiration to listen again and again, do Shravanam again and again and again, till you understand. And thereafter that, Mad Bhavaha Upapadyate, he will discover that my nature is his own nature. Mad Bhavaha means Ishvara Sarupam, that Purnatvam, that completeness. He will discover that I am the all pervading Brahman. There is no, that sense of isolation goes away. Right? Without Veda, remember, without Shruti, you will always be lonely. You will see yourself as different from everybody. And wherever there is difference, there is a sense of isolation. That is why, when you are young, this is not so obvious because isolation sense is very much there. But what do you do? Some people throw themselves into work, become workaholics. 18 hours a day you work. And whenever there's a weekend, what do? You go to the beach or you go to the bar or go to the movie or go to a party or you watch TV the whole day. What are you doing? You are running away from that sense of isolation. As you retire, this sense of isolation becomes stronger and stronger. And that is why I see so many of my, classmates and batchmates. What are they doing? Traveling, traveling, traveling all the time. What is this travel? Is running, running, running from the loneliness which is, threatening to engulf you. What is the problem? You can do all this for some time. But as you grow older, nature itself steps in to make sure that your body cannot move too much. Therefore, you can't run anymore. What is the solution? Come to Shruti. You will still be alone. Your children will go away. Your friends will die one by one. You will be alone, but you will never be alone. And that's why here Shankara says, you will discover the Purnatvam in which nothing is separate from you. And that is the only solution to samsara. Therefore, Shankara says, Mad Bhavaha is to be taken as Paramatma Bhavaha, the same nature as Paramatma. I understand that I am Brahma. With this, we'll stop for the day. Any questions? Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience. Om Om.